Hello, English learners. If you are new here, I would like to tell you that we upload a new English learning video every day on our channel to help you improve your English faster. In today's episode, you will not only improve your English listening skills, but also expand your advanced English vocabulary. In today's lesson, we're diving into an important topic that will help you sound more fluent, more expressive, and more confident when you speak English. B2 Level Advanced English Vocabulary Masterclass. We will go through real-life comprehension examples that will help you understand how advanced words are used naturally in daily conversations, professional situations, and practical life contexts. Whether you're describing experiences, expressing opinions, explaining ideas, or responding in conversations, advanced vocabulary plays a powerful role in making your English sound more polished and more natural. By the end of this video, you'll not only learn the meanings of useful B2 level words, but you'll also understand exactly how to use them in sentences, in conversations, and in real-life communication. I'll also share helpful fluency tips and practice exercises to help you remember and apply these words confidently. Before we start the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and also press the bell icon if you want more helpful English learning episodes like this. So, grab a pen and paper. Let's get started. When learners reach the B2 level in English, something very interesting begins to happen. You already know thousands of words. You can hold conversations. You can explain your thoughts. But sometimes, your English still feels limited. You may find yourself repeating the same simple vocabulary again and again. Words like very good, very bad, very big, or very important become your daily speaking tools. And while these words are correct, they don't fully reflect the depth of your ideas. This is exactly where advanced vocabulary begins to transform your fluency. For example, instead of saying very big, a B2 speaker might say enormous or massive. Instead of saying very tired, you might say exhausted. Instead of very happy, you might say delighted or thrilled. Do you see the difference? The meaning is similar, but the impact is stronger, more precise, more natural. Advanced vocabulary allows you to communicate emotion, intensity, and nuance without needing long explanations. Let's begin with a word that is extremely useful in daily life conversations. The word is essential. Essential means something that is absolutely necessary, something you cannot avoid, something fundamental to a situation. For example, you might say, good communication is essential in every relationship, or sleep is essential for maintaining good health. Notice how this word sounds more mature than simply saying very important. It adds weight to your sentence. Now let's practice this word together in real-life speaking contexts. Imagine you are talking to a colleague about workplace productivity. You could say, time management is essential if we want to meet deadlines. Or imagine you are advising a friend. It's essential to stay calm during difficult conversations. Try repeating these sentences aloud. Focus on pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence. This is how vocabulary becomes active, not passive. Let's expand further. Another powerful B2 word is gradually. Gradually describes something that happens slowly over time, not suddenly. For example, She gradually improved her English by practicing every day. Or, the weather gradually became colder as winter approached. This word is extremely helpful when describing progress, change, or development. Now, place yourself in a real-life reflection scenario. You are talking about your personal growth. You might say, I gradually became more confident, speaking English in meetings, or I gradually stopped translating in my mind and started thinking directly in English. Speak these sentences slowly. Let the word gradually flow naturally within your speech. This is how advanced vocabulary integrates into fluency. Another highly expressive B2 word is challenge. Now you may already know this word, but B2 mastery means using it flexibly. For instance, learning pronunciation was a challenge for me, or managing work and studies at the same time can be challenging. Notice the noun and adjective forms. This flexibility is what builds advanced vocabulary control. Let's bring this into a conversational practice situation. Imagine someone asks you, "How was your first job experience?" Instead of answering simply, you could say, "It was challenging at first, but it helped me grow professionally." Or, "Adjusting to the new environment was a challenge, but I learned a lot." These responses sound fluent, descriptive, and natural. Now let's explore a word that adds emotional depth. The word is overwhelmed. Overwhelmed describes a feeling of being emotionally or mentally overloaded. For example, I felt overwhelmed with work responsibilities last month. Or, she was overwhelmed with happiness when she got the scholarship. Notice, the word works for both stress and positive emotion. Let's practice emotional expression using this word. Imagine describing your week. I felt overwhelmed because of multiple deadlines, but I managed everything successfully. Or describing a celebration. I was overwhelmed by the love and support I received on my birthday. Repeat these aloud. Emotional vocabulary is essential for real human communication. Let's continue building your vocabulary range with the word reliable. Reliable describes someone or something you can trust, someone consistent, dependable. For example, she is a reliable team member, or public transport here is very reliable. This word is extremely common in professional and social conversations. Now imagine recommending a friend for a job. You could say, he is hardworking, punctual, and very reliable, or describing a service. This internet provider is reliable, even during bad weather. Try creating your own sentence after repeating these. Active production strengthens retention. Another powerful B2 word is significant. Significant means important in effect or meaning, but more analytical, more formal. For example, there has been a significant improvement in your English. Or, this decision will have a significant impact on our future. This word is widely used in academic, business, and daily discussions. Let's practice analytical speaking. Imagine discussing progress. I've made significant progress in my vocabulary this year. Or discussing change. There has been a significant increase in living costs recently. Speak slowly, emphasize syllables, sig, nef, I, can't. Fluency includes pronunciation mastery. Now let's move into situational fluency building. I will describe a short real-life situation, and you will absorb how advanced vocabulary naturally appears in speech. Imagine you are reflecting on your learning journey. You might say, "At the beginning, speaking English was a challenge for me. I felt overwhelmed in conversations, but gradually, with daily practice, I became more confident. I realized that building vocabulary was essential, and the improvement I saw over time was significant." Notice how multiple B2 words blend smoothly into one narrative. This is the goal. Let's do a guided speaking exercise together. I will model, then you repeat mentally or aloud. Learning a language is challenging at times, but consistent practice brings significant improvement. It's essential to stay patient. Even small progress, achieved gradually, leads to fluency in the long run. Repeat this slowly. Focus on clarity rather than speed. Now let's expand descriptive vocabulary further with the word efficient. Efficient means achieving results without wasting time or effort. For example, she is very efficient at managing projects, or this new system is more efficient than the old one. This word is extremely valuable in workplace English. Practice scenario. You are discussing productivity. I try to organize my day in an efficient way. Or giving advice. Using digital tools can make your study routine more efficient. Repeat. Visualize real usage. Embed the word emotionally. Let's add another expressive adjective, concerned. Concerned describes worry or care about something. For example, I'm concerned about your health, or parents are concerned about their children's future. This word adds emotional intelligence to speech. Practice emotional dialogue. I was concerned when you didn't answer my call. Or, many employees are concerned about job security. Speak naturally. Imagine real faces, real conversations. Now let's integrate multiple vocabulary items into one extended fluency narrative for deeper retention. You might say, "At the start of my career, I felt overwhelmed by responsibilities. Managing time efficiently was a challenge, but gradually, I became more organized. I realized that discipline was essential for growth. The changes I made had a significant impact on my productivity, and now my colleagues consider me reliable and efficient." This is advanced fluency in motion. Take a breath and repeat key words aloud. Essential, gradually, overwhelmed, reliable, significant, efficient, concerned. Let your mouth adapt to these sounds. Fluency is physical as much as mental. We will continue expanding your B2 vocabulary range, building not just word knowledge, but real speaking power, so you can express thoughts with clarity, confidence, and natural sophistication in daily life conversations. As your vocabulary expands, something very powerful begins to change in the way you think and express ideas in English. You start noticing that simple words no longer feel sufficient to describe complex emotions, situations, or opinions. This is a natural transition at the B2 level, and it signals growth, because language is not only about communication, it is about precision, tone, and impact. Let's begin this next stage of your vocabulary building with the word adapt. Adapt means to adjust yourself to a new situation or environment. This word is extremely valuable in both personal and professional conversations. For example, "It took me time to adapt to my new workplace." Or, children adapt quickly to new environments. Notice how the word implies flexibility, resilience, and growth. Now let's practice this word in real-life speaking reflection. Imagine you moved to a new city. You might say, "At first, I felt uncomfortable, but gradually, I adapted to the lifestyle." Or in a learning context, "I had to adapt my study routine to become more efficient." Repeat these sentences slowly. Feel how the word naturally fits into personal storytelling. Let's expand this concept further with the word flexible. Flexible describes someone who is open to change, able to adjust plans, or willing to consider alternatives. For example, "My manager is very flexible with work schedules." Or, "You need to be flexible when unexpected problems arise." This word is especially useful in workplace communication. Practice scenario. You are discussing teamwork. Being flexible helps maintain harmony in a team. Or advising someone. Try to stay flexible when plans don't go as expected. Notice how this vocabulary reflects emotional intelligence and maturity. Now let's move into a more analytical word. Evaluate. Evaluate means to carefully assess or judge something. It is commonly used in professional, academic, and decision-making contexts. For example, "We need to evaluate the results before making a decision." Or, "Teachers evaluate students' progress regularly." This word signals critical thinking. Let's bring this into personal fluency practice. Imagine discussing your learning progress. "I evaluate my English improvement every month." Or career reflection. "Before changing jobs, I evaluated all my options carefully." Repeat aloud. The rhythm of this word strengthens your formal speaking ability. Another extremely useful B2 word is maintain. Maintain means to keep something at the same level, condition, or standard. For example, "It's important to maintain a healthy lifestyle." Or, "She maintains a positive attitude even in difficult times." This word is powerful in motivational and descriptive speech. Practice emotional expression. "I try to maintain balance between work and personal life." Or, "Maintaining friendships requires effort and communication." Notice how the word carries responsibility and continuity. Now, let's deepen expressive vocabulary with the word struggle. Struggle describes facing difficulty while trying to achieve something. For example, "Many learners struggle with pronunciation." Or, "He struggled to manage his finances." This word adds honesty and realism to conversations. Guided reflection practice. "I struggled with confidence when speaking English in public." Or, "At the beginning, I struggled to understand fast conversations." Speak these slowly. Acknowledge the emotion behind the vocabulary. This builds authentic fluency. Let's transition into a solution-focused word, improve. While this word may seem simple, B2 mastery means using it in expanded context. For example, "I'm working to improve my communication skills." Or, "The company is trying to improve customer satisfaction." Now extend it. Significantly improve. Gradually improve. Notice vocabulary layering. Practice layered fluency. "I gradually improved my vocabulary through daily reading." Or, "Feedback helped me significantly improve my presentation skills." This layering technique elevates your speaking level instantly. Now let's introduce a highly expressive word, motivated. Motivated describes having a strong reason or desire to do something. For example, I feel motivated to learn English every day. Or, she is highly motivated to achieve her goals. This word is common in self-development conversations. Practice emotional projection. Watching my progress keeps me motivated. Or, support from my family motivates me to work harder. Feel the emotional energy behind the word. Advanced vocabulary carries emotional weight. Let's expand towards social, interaction vocabulary with the word. Interact. Interact means to communicate or engage with others. For example, I try to interact with native speakers. Or, social media allows people to interact globally. This word is essential for communication discussions. Practice conversational usage. Interacting in English daily improves fluency. Or, I feel more confident when I interact with colleagues in meetings. Speak these with natural pacing. Now let's build descriptive personality vocabulary with the word confident. At B2 level, we expand its usage. For example, she sounds confident during presentations. Or, practicing daily made me more confident in conversations. Now extend increasingly confident, naturally confident. Practice self-description. I've become more confident expressing my opinions. Or, he appears confident even under pressure. Notice how tone changes perception. Let's integrate multiple vocabulary items into a realistic life narrative for deeper retention. You might say, when I started my new job, I struggled to adapt. The environment was fast-paced, and I had to interact with many people daily. But I stayed motivated. I evaluated my weaknesses and worked to improve them. Gradually, I became more confident, and now I can maintain professional conversations efficiently. This is advanced storytelling fluency. Take a moment. Repeat keywords aloud. Adapt. Flexible. Evaluate. Maintain. Struggle. Motivated. Interact. Confident. Let the pronunciation settle naturally. Now let's move into situational workplace communication practice for applied vocabulary training. Imagine your manager asks about your adjustment period. You might respond, initially, I struggled to adapt to the workflow, but my team was supportive, I stayed motivated, and gradually improved my efficiency. Notice how vocabulary conveys growth and professionalism. Another scenario, discussing teamwork. Our success depends on how well we interact and how flexible we remain during challenges. This is real conversational English at B2 level. Now let's introduce a reflective thinking word. Realize. Realize means to become aware of something. For example, I realized the importance of time management. Or, she realized her potential after receiving encouragement. This word adds introspection to speech. Practice reflective fluency. I realized that consistency is essential for fluency. Or, he realized he needed to improve his communication skills. Reflection vocabulary deepens conversation quality. Let's expand expressive intensity with the word frustrated. Frustrated describes feeling upset due to repeated difficulty. For example, I felt frustrated when I couldn't understand fast English. Or, she was frustrated with the slow progress. Emotional honesty strengthens connection in conversations. Practice emotional articulation. I felt frustrated, but I didn't give up. Or, Technical problems made everyone frustrated during the meeting. Speak slowly. Emotional vocabulary requires tonal sensitivity. Now, let's move toward resolution vocabulary with the word overcome. Overcome means to successfully deal with a problem. For example, she overcame her fear of public speaking. Or, we overcame many challenges during the project. This word signals victory and growth. Practice motivational fluency. I overcame my hesitation by practicing daily. Or, with support, he overcame his communication barriers. Feel the empowerment embedded in the word. Now, let's integrate emotional progression into one cohesive narrative. You might say, at first, I felt frustrated because I struggled to interact confidently. I found it difficult to adapt to fast conversations, but I stayed motivated. I evaluated my weaknesses and worked consistently. Gradually, I overcame my fears, and today, I feel confident expressing myself in English. This is the emotional arc of fluency. Take a breath. Repeat the emotional sequence aloud. Struggled, frustrated, motivated, improved, overcame, confident. This repetition wires vocabulary into memory. As we continue building your advanced vocabulary range, you'll notice your speaking becoming more descriptive, more precise, and more engaging. You won't need long explanations, because the right words will carry your meaning clearly, naturally, fluently. And this is exactly how B2 vocabulary transforms communication, not by making English complicated, but by making expression clearer, richer, and more human. As your vocabulary range continues to expand, you begin to notice something remarkable happening in your communication. You are no longer limited to describing events only on the surface. You start expressing causes, consequences, intentions, and reactions with greater clarity. This is where advanced B2 vocabulary begins to shape not just what you say, but how deeply you can say it. Let's begin this stage with the word contribute. Contribute means to give something, such as time, effort, ideas, or resources, to help achieve a result. For example, every team member contributed to the project's success. Or, reading daily contributes to vocabulary growth. Notice how the word highlights participation and shared responsibility. Now imagine discussing teamwork in a meeting. You might say, I try to contribute actively during brainstorming sessions. Or, her research contributed significantly to our final presentation. Repeat these aloud. Feel how the word carries professional tone and collaboration energy. Let's move to another highly practical word, encourage. Encourage means to give support, confidence, or hope to someone. For example, my teacher encouraged me to speak English confidently. Or, parents should encourage children to read more. This word is deeply connected to emotional and motivational communication. Practice reflective speaking. Positive feedback encourages me to keep improving. Or, I encourage my friends to practice English daily. Notice how encouragement vocabulary builds warmth in conversations. Now, let's expand your expressive ability with the word achieve. Achieve means to successfully reach a goal through effort. For example, she achieved fluency after years of practice. Or, hard work helps you achieve long-term success. This word is essential for describing accomplishment, guided practice. I want to achieve greater confidence in public speaking. Or, He achieved remarkable progress in a short time. Speak slowly. Emphasize the verb achieve. Achievement vocabulary is powerful in professional and motivational dialogue. Let's introduce a word that strengthens analytical discussions. Impact. Impact refers to a strong effect or influence. For example, social media has a major impact on communication. Or, learning English has had a positive impact on my career. This word is widely used in both academic and daily contexts. Practice contextual fluency. Your advice had a significant impact on my decision. Or, technology impacts the way we interact daily. Notice how the word connects cause and result clearly. Now let's build situational awareness vocabulary with the word aware. Aware means having knowledge or understanding of something. For example, I became aware of my mistakes through feedback. Or, people are more aware of health issues today. This word signals consciousness and realization. Practice reflective expression. I'm aware of the importance of pronunciation. Or, she is aware of her strengths and weaknesses. Self-awareness vocabulary deepens conversations. Let's continue with the word opportunity. Opportunity refers to a chance for growth or success. For example, learning English opens many career opportunities. Or, I had the opportunity to work abroad. This word is central in future-oriented discussions. Practice life planning fluency. I'm looking for opportunities to improve my skills. Or, this job offers great learning opportunities. Speak with optimism. Opportunity carries aspirational tone. Now let's move into adaptability vocabulary with the word environment. Environment refers to surroundings or conditions. For example, a positive work environment improves productivity. Or, language learning depends on your environment. This word is useful in social, academic, and workplace speech. Practice situational usage. I adapted quickly to the new work environment. Or, a supportive environment encourages growth. Combine with earlier vocabulary for fluency layering. Let's introduce emotional resilience vocabulary with the word pressure. Pressure describes stress or demands placed on someone. For example, he works well under pressure. Or, students often feel pressure during exams. This word is extremely common in real-life storytelling. Practice emotional articulation. I felt pressure while giving my first presentation. Or, learning to manage pressure is essential for success. Speak slowly. Emotional realism enhances relatability. Now let's balance this with the word cope. Cope means to deal successfully with difficulty. For example, she learned to cope with stress. Or, I cope with pressure by staying organized. This word shows psychological strength. Practice resilience dialogue. I struggled at first, but I learned to cope. Or, he copes with challenges by staying positive. Notice emotional maturity in expression. Let's integrate multiple vocabulary items into a cohesive narrative. For retention, you might say, at the beginning of my career, I felt intense pressure. I wasn't fully aware of workplace expectations, but my colleagues encouraged me to adapt. I started contributing more in meetings. Gradually, I achieved confidence, and my efforts had a positive impact on my professional growth. This is advanced workplace storytelling. Take a moment. Repeat key words aloud. Contribute, encourage, achieve, impact, aware, opportunity, pressure, cope. Let repetition strengthen neural recall. Now let's expand toward problem-solving vocabulary with the word solution. Solution refers to a way to solve a problem. For example, we discussed solutions during the meeting, or practice is the best solution for fluency challenges. This word is practical and widely used. Practice analytical fluency. We need a long-term solution, or communication solved the issue quickly. Problem resolution vocabulary builds leadership tone. Let's add decision-making vocabulary with the word option. Option refers to a choice or alternative. For example, I considered several job options, or online learning is a flexible option. This word supports evaluative discussions, practice reflective decision speech. I evaluated all my options before deciding. Or, studying abroad is one possible option. Notice integration with earlier vocabulary, like evaluate. Now let's deepen descriptive thinking with the word complex. Complex describes something complicated or detailed. For example, the instructions were complex, or human emotions are complex. This word elevates analytical expression. Practice conceptual fluency. Grammar rules sometimes feel complex, or the project involved complex planning. Speak with thoughtful pacing. Let's balance complexity with the word simple. At B2 level, we use it contrastively. For example, the solution was surprisingly simple, or he explained the concept in simple terms. Contrast vocabulary improves narrative clarity. Now let's integrate contrastive expression into one narrative. You might say, at first, the process seemed complex. I felt pressure and uncertainty. But after evaluating my options, I found a simple solution. With encouragement and consistent effort, I achieved progress. This contrast structure enhances storytelling sophistication. Take a breath. Repeat contrast pairs aloud. Complex, simple, pressure, cope, opportunity, achieve. This strengthens cognitive linking. Now let's introduce a highly expressive interpersonal word. Support. Support refers to help, encouragement, or assistance. For example, family support is essential for success. Or, my team supported me during challenges. This word builds relational warmth. Practice emotional connection. I couldn't have achieved this without your support. Or, supportive environments encourage confidence. Emotional vocabulary builds authentic fluency. Let's close this progression cycle with the word progress. Progress refers to forward movement or improvement. For example, I've made steady progress, or the project is progressing well. This word is central to learning narratives. Practice self-reflection. I track my progress monthly. Or, visible progress keeps me motivated. Notice how vocabulary loops back to motivation. Now integrate the full vocabulary arc into one extended reflection narrative for deep retention. You might say, when I started my learning journey, everything felt complex. I felt pressure and uncertainty, but I became aware of the opportunities ahead. With support and encouragement, I contributed actively in practice sessions. Gradually, I learned to cope with challenges. I evaluated my options, found effective solutions, and achieved steady progress. The impact of this journey has been life-changing. This is B2 fluency storytelling at its peak. Take a final breath. In this practice session, repeat the vocabulary chain slowly: aware, opportunity, contribute, encourage, cope, solution, progress, impact. Let each word settle naturally into your speaking system. As we continue, your vocabulary bank will keep expanding, and your fluency will evolve from functional to expressive to confidently advanced in real-life communication. As your vocabulary continues to develop, you begin to notice a deeper shift in how you express thoughts, especially when discussing opinions, experiences, and future plans. At the B2 level, communication becomes less about basic survival English and more about thoughtful expression. You are no longer just describing events, you are interpreting them, analyzing them, and responding with clarity and confidence. Let's begin this next stage with the word perspective. Perspective refers to a particular way of thinking about or viewing something. For example, from my perspective, learning English requires consistency. Or, different cultures offer different perspectives on communication. This word is essential. When expressing opinions diplomatically, practice conversational usage. I understand your perspective, but I see the situation differently. Or, traveling helped me gain a broader perspective on life. Notice how this word allows respectful disagreement without conflict. Now let's move to the word approach. Approach refers to a method or way of doing something. For example, she has a unique approach to teaching vocabulary. Or, we need a strategic approach to solving this issue. This word is extremely useful in academic and workplace discussions. Practice reflective fluency. I changed my approach to language learning. Or, a positive approach improves teamwork. Feel how the word introduces problem-solving intelligence into speech. Let's expand analytical vocabulary further with the word consider. Consider means to think carefully about something before deciding. For example, I'm considering changing my career path. Or, you should consider all factors before investing. This word signals thoughtful reasoning. Practice decision dialogue. I'm considering taking advanced English classes. Or, we considered multiple options before finalizing the plan. Notice integration with earlier vocabulary, like options and evaluate. Now let's introduce the word recommend. Recommend means to suggest something positively. For example, I recommend this book for vocabulary improvement. Or, she recommended practicing daily. This word is vital for giving advice politely. Practice advisory fluency. I highly recommend watching English documentaries. Or, teachers recommend consistent reading habits. Speak with natural confidence. Let's move into experiential vocabulary with the word experience. At B2 level, we expand its contextual range. For example, work experience improves communication skills. Or, traveling was a life-changing experience. Now layer it. Valuable experience. Challenging experience. Practice storytelling. My first presentation was a challenging experience. Or, teaching others was a valuable experience for me. Vocabulary layering deepens narrative impact. Now let's strengthen descriptive opinion vocabulary with the word impressive. Impressive describes something that creates admiration. For example, her fluency is impressive. Or, The results were highly impressive. This word adds evaluative sophistication. Practice reaction speech. Your vocabulary range is impressive. Or, I found his presentation very impressive. Emotional tone enriches delivery. Let's expand toward intellectual expression with the word analyze. Analyze means to examine something carefully. For example, we analyzed the data before concluding. Or, I analyze my mistakes after speaking practice. This word reflects critical thinking ability. Practice reflective learning fluency. I analyze my pronunciation recordings. Or, analyzing conversations improves comprehension. Notice how academic vocabulary enters daily speech. Now let's move into planning vocabulary with the word strategy. Strategy refers to a planned method to achieve a goal. For example, I developed a strategy to improve fluency. Or, the company implemented a growth strategy. This word elevates planning discussions. Practice goal articulation. My strategy includes daily speaking practice. Or, a clear strategy helps manage time efficiently. Strategic vocabulary signals maturity. Let's introduce emotional cognitive vocabulary with the word realistic. Realistic means practical and achievable. For example, set realistic goals. Or, her expectations were realistic. This word is crucial in advice and planning speech. Practice motivational dialogue. Be realistic about your learning timeline. Or, I set realistic daily vocabulary targets. Balance between ambition and practicality. Now let's deepen evaluation vocabulary with the word effective. Effective means producing the desired result. For example, this method is highly effective. Or, communication is effective when it's clear. This word is central in performance discussions. Practice performance speech. Shadowing is an effective fluency technique. Or, feedback makes learning more effective. Notice professional tone development. Let's integrate these vocabulary items into a real-life reflective narrative. You might say, from my perspective, fluency requires a strategic approach. I analyzed my weaknesses and developed an effective learning strategy. I set realistic goals and gained valuable experience through daily practice. Over time, my progress became impressive. This is analytical fluency in action. Take a breath. Repeat key words aloud. Perspective, approach, consider, recommend, analyze, strategy, realistic, effective. Let the sounds settle naturally. Now let's expand toward interpersonal workplace vocabulary with the word collaborate. Collaborate means to work jointly with others. For example, we collaborated on the project. Or, teams collaborate to achieve goals. This word is essential for professional English. Practice teamwork fluency. Collaborating improves creativity. Or, I enjoy collaborating with international colleagues. Speak with cooperative tone. Let's add the word communicate. While familiar, B2 mastery expands usage. For example, clear communication prevents misunderstandings. Or, leaders communicate vision effectively. Now layer, communicate confidently. Communicate clearly. Practice fluency reinforcement. I'm learning to communicate more confidently. Or, we communicate regularly to maintain alignment. Layered expression enhances clarity. Now let's introduce conflict resolution vocabulary with the word Resolve. Resolve means to solve or settle a problem. For example, we resolved the misunderstanding quickly, or good communication resolves conflicts. This word is critical. In workplace narratives, practice dialogue resolution. We discussed the issue and resolved it professionally. Or, patience helps resolve disagreements. Emotional intelligence vocabulary strengthens professionalism. Let's deepen emotional vocabulary with the word appreciate. Appreciate means to recognize value or feel gratitude. For example, I appreciate your support, or she appreciates constructive feedback. This word builds relational warmth. Practice gratitude fluency. I truly appreciate your guidance, or employees appreciate recognition. Gratitude vocabulary enhances interpersonal communication. Now let's integrate interpersonal vocabulary into one cohesive narrative. You might say, our team collaborated effectively. We communicated openly and resolved challenges quickly. I appreciated the supportive environment, and the experience was both valuable and impressive. This reflects workplace fluency maturity. Take a pause. Repeat keywords aloud. Collaborate, communicate, resolve, appreciate, experience, effective, strategy. Let repetition reinforce recall. Now let's expand toward self-development vocabulary with the word develop. Develop means to grow or improve over time. For example, I developed confidence through practice, or she developed leadership skills. This word is essential in growth narratives. Practice personal growth speech. I developed better pronunciation habits, or he developed a strong vocabulary foundation. Growth vocabulary motivates storytelling. Let's add the word focus. Focus means to concentrate attention. For example, I focus on speaking daily, or focus improves productivity. This word is central in performance dialogue. Practice concentration fluency. I focus on pronunciation accuracy, or maintaining focus during meetings is essential. Notice integration with earlier vocabulary. Now let's integrate development vocabulary into one final reflection narrative. You might say, I changed my learning approach and focused on daily speaking. I developed confidence gradually. I collaborated with others, appreciated feedback, and followed an effective strategy. From my perspective, this realistic approach created impressive progress. This is B2 fluency synthesis. Take a final breath. In this stage, repeat the chain slowly. Perspective, strategy, collaborate, develop, focus, effective, impressive. Let the vocabulary settle deeply. As we continue forward, your expressive range will keep expanding, allowing you not only to communicate, but to influence, inspire, and connect through advanced English vocabulary. As your vocabulary becomes richer and more flexible, you begin to express not only actions and experiences, but also attitudes, behaviors, and personal qualities. This is a defining transition at the B2 level because communication now reflects personality, professionalism, and emotional intelligence. The words you choose begin to shape how others perceive your confidence, clarity, and competence. Let's begin this stage with the word responsible. Responsible describes someone who is reliable and accountable for their actions. For example, she is responsible for managing the team, or being responsible with finances is essential. This word is extremely important in both personal and professional communication. Practice real-life expression. I'm responsible for organizing weekly meetings. Or, parents are responsible for guiding their children. Speak slowly. Feel the weight of accountability in the word. Now let's expand behavioral vocabulary with the word independent. Independent describes someone who can function without relying heavily on others. For example, he became financially independent at a young age, or independent learners progress faster. This word is central in self-development discussions. Practice reflective fluency. I'm trying to become more independent in decision-making. Or, living alone made me more independent. Notice the personal growth undertones. Let's introduce another powerful personality word. Reliable. Although we touched on it earlier, here we deepen contextual usage. For example, she is reliable even under pressure, or reliable employees build trust. This word strengthens professional credibility. Practice workplace dialogue. My manager considers me reliable, or clients prefer reliable service providers. Feel the professional tone embedded in the word. Now let's move into attitude vocabulary with the word positive. At the B2 level, we expand its emotional application. For example, maintaining a positive mindset improves performance. Or, she remained positive despite challenges. This word reflects resilience. Practice motivational expression. I try to stay positive during setbacks. Or, positive feedback boosts confidence. Emotional vocabulary supports inspirational speech. Let's expand towards social personality vocabulary with the word supportive. Supportive describes someone who provides encouragement or help. For example, she is a supportive colleague. Or, supportive families encourage growth. This word builds relational warmth. Practice relational fluency. Having supportive friends makes learning easier. Or, a supportive manager motivates employees. Notice the emotional connection depth. Now let's introduce a highly expressive, evaluative word, professional. Professional describes behavior that is skilled, respectful, and work-appropriate. For example, he handled the situation professionally. Or, professional communication is essential in business. This word is critical in workplace English. Practice situational usage. She responded to criticism professionally. Or, maintaining a professional tone builds respect. Speak with composed pacing. Let's move into behavioral growth vocabulary with the word improve. Here we deepen transformation context. For example, I'm working to improve my time management. Or, he improved his presentation skills. Layer with adverbs. Steadily improve. Significantly improve. Practice personal reflection. I've improved my fluency through daily practice. Or, feedback helped me improve my confidence. Vocabulary layering enhances fluency. Now let's introduce the word balanced. Balance describes stability between different aspects of life. For example, maintaining a balanced lifestyle is important. Or, she has a balanced perspective on work and life. This word signals maturity. Practice lifestyle fluency. I try to maintain a balanced routine. Or, balanced decisions reduce stress. Emotional harmony vocabulary deepens expression. Let's expand emotional self-management vocabulary with the word patient. Patient describes the ability to wait calmly. For example, language learning requires patience. Or, she remained patient during the process. This word is essential in learning narratives. Practice reflective articulation. I'm learning to be patient with my progress. Or, teachers must be patient with students. Emotional regulation vocabulary builds authenticity. Now, let's introduce a word connected to determination. Persistent. Persistent describes continuing despite difficulty. For example, persistent practice leads to fluency. Or, she is persistent in achieving goals. This word reflects discipline. Practice motivational fluency. Whoa, I stay persistent even when progress feels slow. Or, persistent learners succeed long-term. Feel the determination embedded in the word. Let's integrate personality and behavioral vocabulary into one cohesive narrative for retention. You might say, becoming fluent required me to be patient and persistent. I stayed positive during challenges. I tried to remain professional in communication and gradually became more independent and responsible in my learning. Supportive mentors also played a significant role. This is personality-based fluency storytelling. Take a breath. Repeat keywords aloud. Responsible, independent, reliable, supportive, professional, balanced, patient, persistent. Let the repetition strengthen pronunciation and memory. Now, let's move into workplace performance vocabulary with the word productive. Productive describes producing useful results. For example, morning hours are my most productive time. Or, a productive meeting saves time. This word is central in professional dialogue. Practice workplace fluency. I feel more productive when I plan my day. Or, productive teams communicate clearly. Speak with confident pacing. Let's introduce the word organized. Organized describes structured planning and order. For example, she is very organized with her tasks. Or, an organized workspace improves efficiency. This word strengthens professional identity. Practice practical usage. I try to stay organized using digital tools. Or, being organized reduces stress. Notice the lifestyle application. Now let's add the word efficient. Reinforcing and expanding prior learning. For example, organized systems make work more efficient. Or, he completes tasks efficiently. Layer vocabulary for fluency stacking. Practice layered expression. I became more efficient after improving time management. Or, efficient planning increases productivity. Vocabulary linking enhances retention. Let's move into decision behavior vocabulary with the word confident. Here, we deepen situational tone. For example, she gave a confident presentation. Or, I feel confident handling clients. Confidence vocabulary signals growth. Practice self-articulation. I'm becoming more confident in meetings. Or, preparation makes me confident. Emotional assurance strengthens fluency. Now let's integrate performance vocabulary into a professional reflection narrative. You might say, over time, I became more organized and productive. I learned to manage responsibilities efficiently. This made me more confident and professional in my role. This reflects workplace fluency maturity. Take a pause. Repeat the chain aloud. Productive, organized, efficient, confident, professional, responsible. Let the rhythm stabilize pronunciation. Now let's expand toward emotional leadership vocabulary with the word inspire. Inspire means to motivate others positively. For example, her journey inspired me. Or, leaders inspire teams. This word carries emotional influence. Practice motivational fluency. Your dedication inspires others. Or, teachers inspire lifelong learning. Emotional vocabulary builds storytelling depth. Let's introduce the word influence. Influence refers to the ability to affect others. For example, social media influences opinions. Or, good mentors influence career growth. This word supports analytical speech. Practice impact articulation. Positive environments influence productivity. Or, role models influence behavior. Connect cause and effect. Now let's continue with an integrated leadership reflection, narrative. You might say, supportive mentors inspired me to stay persistent. Their influence shaped my learning habits. I became more responsible, organized, and confident, and gradually developed a professional communication style. This reflects advanced personal development fluency. Take a final breath in this stage. Repeat keywords slowly. Inspire, influence, persistent, productive, organized, confident, responsible. Let each word settle deeply. As we continue forward, your vocabulary is no longer just descriptive. It is becoming transformational, allowing you to describe character, growth, leadership, and professional identity with clarity and confidence. As your vocabulary expands even further, you begin to notice that you can describe not only people and experiences, but also processes, systems, and long-term developments. This is where your English begins to sound analytical and insightful, especially in conversations about work, education, technology, and society. B2 vocabulary gives you the tools to explain how things function, how they evolve, and how they influence daily life. Let's begin this stage with the word process. A process refers to a series of actions or steps taken to achieve a result. For example, learning a language is a gradual process, or the hiring process takes several weeks. This word is extremely common in professional and academic English. Practice contextual fluency. Improving pronunciation is a continuous process. Or, we simplified the process to save time. Notice how this word allows structured explanation rather than simple description. Now let's expand this analytical range with the word method. Method refers to a specific way of doing something. For example, this teaching method is very effective. Or, everyone has their own study method. This word strengthens discussions about learning and productivity. Practice reflective usage. I changed my method to improve retention. Or, a structured method increases efficiency. Vocabulary like this supports instructional conversations. Let's introduce the word technique. Technique refers to a skillful or strategic way of performing a task. For example, shadowing is a powerful speaking technique. Or, breathing techniques help reduce stress. This word is useful in both professional and self-development speech. Practice applied fluency. I use memorization techniques daily. Or, presentation techniques improve audience engagement. Feel the professional tone embedded in the word. Now let's move into development vocabulary with the word progressive. Progressive describes something developing gradually over time. For example, the company adopted progressive policies. Or, she made progressive improvements in fluency. This word elevates descriptive sophistication. Practice growth articulation. My learning approach became more progressive. Or, progressive exposure to English improves comprehension. Notice layered vocabulary use. Let's expand toward technological vocabulary with the word digital. Digital refers to technology-based systems. For example, digital tools support language learning. Or, we live in a digital era. This word is essential in modern conversations. Practice modern context fluency. I use digital platforms to practice speaking. Or, digital communication has changed workplace interaction. This connects vocabulary with contemporary life. Now let's introduce the word efficient, reinforcing analytical productivity context. For example, digital systems make processes more efficient. Or, automation improves efficiency. Vocabulary repetition in new contexts strengthens retention. Practice layered expression. Efficient methods save time. Or, an efficient process increases productivity. Notice how words interconnect conceptually. Let's move into organizational vocabulary with the word structure. Structure refers to the arrangement or organization of something. For example, the course has a clear structure. Or, organizational structure affects workflow. This word supports academic and professional dialogue. Practice applied articulation. I prefer structured learning programs. Or, a strong structure improves clarity. Structured vocabulary strengthens analytical fluency. Now let's expand toward planning vocabulary with the word implement. Implement means to put a plan into action. For example, we implemented a new strategy. Or, the school implemented digital learning. This word is highly professional in tone. Practice. Workplace fluency. We implemented changes to improve efficiency. Or, I implemented a daily vocabulary routine. Implementation vocabulary signals leadership capacity. Let's introduce another impactful word. Monitor. Monitor means to observe and track progress. For example, teachers monitor student performance. Or, I monitor my learning progress weekly. This word supports evaluation speech. Practice reflective fluency. I monitor my pronunciation improvement. Or, managers monitor project development. Analytical vocabulary enhances credibility. Now, let's integrate these analytical words into a real-life professional narrative for retention. You might say, learning English is a progressive process. I implemented structured methods and used digital tools to improve efficiency. I monitored my progress regularly and adjusted my techniques when necessary. This reflects analytical fluency, development. Take a breath. Repeat key words aloud. Process, method, technique, progressive, digital, implement, monitor, structure. Let repetition strengthen neural pathways. Now let's move into problem analysis vocabulary with the word identify. Identify means to recognize or discover something. For example, I identified my weaknesses. Or, we identified the cause of the issue. This word is essential in problem-solving discussions. Practice reflective articulation. I identified pronunciation as my biggest challenge. Or, the company identified market opportunities. Vocabulary like this builds analytical authority. Let's expand with the word address. Address means to deal with or solve a problem. For example, we addressed customer complaints, or I addressed my fluency gaps. This word is widely used in professional English. Practice solution dialogue. We addressed the issue immediately, or I addressed my fear of speaking. Problem resolution vocabulary enhances clarity. Now let's introduce the word improve, revisited within system development context. For example, we improved the training process, or technology improved communication speed. Layer vocabulary for fluency reinforcement. Practice developmental articulation. I improved my vocabulary retention techniques, or the company improved workflow structure. Vocabulary integration strengthens fluency networks. Let's move into evaluation vocabulary with the word measure. Measure means to assess or calculate progress. For example, we measure success through results. Or, I measure improvement monthly. This word supports analytical reflection. Practice performance articulation. It's important to measure learning outcomes. Or, companies measure productivity metrics. Analytical vocabulary builds credibility. Now let's integrate problem-solving vocabulary into one cohesive narrative. You might say, I identified my communication weaknesses. I implemented new techniques to address them. I monitored my progress and measured improvement over time. Gradually, I improved fluency significantly. This is structured fluency storytelling. Take a pause. Repeat key words aloud. Identify, address, implement, monitor, measure, improve. Let the vocabulary settle rhythmically. Now let's expand toward innovation vocabulary with the word innovative. Innovative describes something new and creative. For example, innovative teaching methods improve engagement. Or, the company introduced innovative solutions. This word signals forward-thinking communication. Practice applied fluency. I adopted innovative learning strategies. Or, innovative tools accelerate progress. Modern vocabulary elevates speech sophistication. Let's introduce the word adaptable. Adaptable describes the ability to adjust easily. For example, adaptable employees succeed in dynamic environments. Or, language learners must be adaptable. This word reinforces flexibility themes. Practice growth articulation. Being adaptable improved my communication skills. Or, adaptable strategies ensure long-term success. Emotional intelligence vocabulary overlaps here. Now let's integrate innovation vocabulary into a development narrative. You might say, I adopted innovative techniques and remained adaptable. I implemented structured methods, monitored progress, and continuously improved my learning process. This reflects high-level fluency coherence. Take a final breath in this practice session. Repeat keywords slowly. Innovative, adaptable, implement, monitor, process, technique, measure. Let each word settle deeply. As your vocabulary continues expanding, you are no longer just describing daily life. You are explaining systems, analyzing performance, and discussing progress with professional clarity. This is the transformation that defines advanced B2 communication. As your vocabulary continues to mature, you begin to develop the ability to express subtle emotions, social dynamics, and internal reflections with far greater clarity. At the B2 level, fluency is no longer only about speaking correctly. It is about speaking thoughtfully, expressing agreement, disagreement, hesitation, doubt, and conviction in ways that sound natural and socially intelligent. Let's begin this stage with the word express. Express means to communicate thoughts or feelings clearly. For example, she expressed her opinion confidently, or it's important to express concerns respectfully. This word is fundamental in advanced conversational English. Practice real-life articulation. I find it easier to express ideas in writing. Or, he expressed gratitude after the meeting. Notice how the word frames communication emotionally and intellectually. Now let's expand with the word opinion. Opinion refers to a personal belief or viewpoint. For example, in my opinion, practice is essential. Or, everyone has a different opinion about learning methods. This word is central in discussions and debates. Practice conversational fluency. I respect your opinion, even if I disagree. Or, sharing opinions builds confidence. Notice diplomatic tone development. Let's introduce the word agree. At B2 level, we diversify agreement expressions. For example, I completely agree with your perspective. Or, I agree to some extent. Layering agreement language builds conversational nuance. Practice dialogue articulation. I agree that consistency is important. Or, I partially agree with that idea. Notice tonal variation. Now let's balance this with the word disagree. Disagree means to hold a different opinion. For example, I respectfully disagree. Or, they disagreed about the strategy. This word is essential for intellectual conversation. Practice diplomatic expression. I see your point, but I disagree slightly. Or, we disagreed, but the discussion was productive. Polite disagreement signals advanced fluency. Let's expand emotional nuance vocabulary with the word hesitate. Hesitate means to pause due to uncertainty. For example, I hesitated before answering. Or, she hesitated to speak publicly. This word reflects psychological realism. Practice reflective fluency. I used to hesitate in conversations. Or, he hesitated because he lacked confidence. Emotional authenticity. Enhances storytelling. Now let's introduce the word confident, revisited within expressive speech context. For example, she spoke confidently during the debate. Or, confidence improves communication. Layered repetition strengthens mastery. Practice articulation. I feel confident expressing my opinions. Or, preparation makes me more confident. Emotional assurance vocabulary builds presence. Let's move into conversational management vocabulary with the word clarify. Clarify means to make something clearer. For example, let me clarify my point. Or, she clarified the instructions. This word is essential in meetings and discussions. Practice professional usage. I asked him to clarify the deadline. Or, clarifying questions prevent confusion. Notice workplace communication strength. Now let's introduce the word misunderstand. Misunderstand means to interpret something incorrectly. For example, I misunderstood the message. Or, they misunderstood the instructions. This word is crucial for communication repair. Practice conflict resolution fluency. Sorry, I misunderstood your point. Or, let's clarify so we don't misunderstand each other. Social intelligence vocabulary enhances professionalism. Let's integrate conversational vocabulary into a realistic discussion narrative. You might say, I used to hesitate expressing my opinion, but gradually I became more confident, even when I disagree. I try to communicate respectfully and clarify misunderstandings calmly. This reflects mature conversational fluency. Take a breath. Repeat keywords aloud. Express, opinion, agree, disagree, hesitate, confident, clarify, misunderstand. Let repetition anchor pronunciation. Now let's expand toward emotional reflection vocabulary with the word realize. Realize means to become aware of something. For example, I realized the importance of communication, or she realized her potential. This word supports introspective speech. Practice reflective articulation. I realized I needed more vocabulary, or he realized the value of patience. Self-awareness vocabulary deepens narratives. Let's introduce the word regret. Regret refers to feeling sadness about a past action. For example, I regret not practicing earlier, or she regretted missing the opportunity. This word adds emotional honesty. Practice reflective fluency. I regret doubting myself, or he regrets not speaking up. Emotional vulnerability enriches storytelling. Now let's balance regret with the word appreciate. Appreciate refers to recognizing value. For example, I appreciate your support, or she appreciates constructive feedback. Gratitude vocabulary strengthens relational tone. Practice gratitude articulation. I appreciate the guidance I received, or we appreciate your patience. Emotional warmth enhances communication. Let's introduce the word encounter. Encounter means to experience or face something. For example, I encountered challenges, or she encountered cultural differences. This word supports experiential storytelling. Practice narrative usage. I encountered difficulties adapting, or travelers encounter diverse perspectives. Experience vocabulary enriches storytelling depth. Now let's integrate emotional reflection vocabulary into a cohesive narrative. You might say, during my learning journey, I encountered many challenges. I regret not starting earlier, but I appreciate the progress I've made. I realized that confidence grows with practice. This reflects emotional maturity in English expression. Take a pause. Repeat keywords aloud. Realize, regret. Appreciate, encounter. Opinion, clarify. Let repetition deepen recall. Now let's expand toward discussion management vocabulary with the word suggest. Suggest means to propose an idea. For example, I suggest practicing daily. Or, she suggested a new strategy. This word is central in collaborative dialogue. Practice advisory articulation. I suggest reviewing vocabulary weekly. Or, he suggested improving communication channels. Advisory vocabulary builds leadership tone. Let's introduce the word propose. Propose carries a more formal tone than suggest. For example, she proposed a new plan. Or, they proposed collaboration. This word elevates professional communication. Practice workplace fluency. I proposed a new learning method. Or, managers proposed structural changes. Formal vocabulary increases authority. Now let's integrate conversational leadership vocabulary into one narrative. You might say, during the meeting, I expressed my opinion confidently. I suggested new strategies and proposed improvements, even when others disagreed. We clarified misunderstandings professionally. This reflects discussion fluency mastery. Take a final breath in this practice session. Repeat keywords slowly. Express, opinion, suggest, propose, clarify, appreciate, realize. Let each word settle naturally. As your vocabulary continues evolving, you are not only speaking English, you are managing conversations, navigating emotions, and expressing ideas with thoughtful precision. This is the depth that defines advanced B2 fluency. As your vocabulary continues expanding into deeper and more expressive territory, you begin to develop the ability to describe change, not just simple change, but emotional change, professional growth, social transformation, and personal evolution. At the B2 level, this ability allows you to narrate your life journey in English with clarity, depth, and authenticity. Let's begin this stage with the word transition. Transition refers to the process of changing from one state or phase to another. For example, the transition from school to work can be challenging. Or, she is going through a career transition. This word is extremely useful when discussing life changes. Practice reflective articulation. My transition to speaking English daily took time. Or, the transition to remote work changed communication habits. Notice how the word frames development over time. Now let's expand change vocabulary with the word adjust. Adjust means to modify yourself or something to fit a new condition. For example, I adjusted my routine to include study time. Or, employees adjusted to the new system. This word signals adaptability in action. Practice situational fluency. I had to adjust my speaking speed. Or, she adjusted quickly to workplace culture. Emotional flexibility vocabulary strengthens storytelling. Let's introduce the word transform. Transform refers to a complete or dramatic change. For example, learning English transformed my confidence. Or, technology transformed communication. This word carries powerful impact. Practice expressive articulation. Daily practice transformed my fluency. Or, travel experiences transformed my perspective. Notice emotional intensity embedded in the word. Now let's move into developmental vocabulary with the word evolve. Evolve means to develop gradually over time. For example, my vocabulary evolved through reading. Or, communication styles evolve with experience. This word signals organic growth. Practice reflective fluency. My learning strategy evolved over the years. Or, professional skills evolve through practice. Evolution vocabulary deepens narrative sophistication. Let's expand toward awareness vocabulary with the word recognize. Recognize means to identify or acknowledge something. For example, I recognized my weaknesses. Or, she recognized the opportunity. This word supports reflective thinking. Practice introspective articulation. I recognized the need for consistency. Or, managers recognized her leadership potential. Self-awareness vocabulary strengthens expression. Now let's introduce the word realization. Realization refers to the moment of understanding something deeply. For example, I had the realization that practice matters. Or, his realization changed his mindset. This word elevates introspective speech. Practice reflective narration. It was a realization that fluency requires patience. Or, her realization improved her focus. Emotional insight vocabulary adds depth. Let's integrate change and awareness vocabulary into one cohesive reflection narrative. You might say, "My transition into advanced English wasn't immediate. I had to adjust my habits. Over time, practice transformed my confidence. My vocabulary evolved, and I recognized my progress. That realization motivated me further." This reflects developmental storytelling fluency. Take a breath. Repeat key words aloud. Transition, adjust, transform, evolve, recognize, realization. Let repetition strengthen cognitive linking. Now let's expand toward challenge navigation vocabulary with the word obstacle. Obstacle refers to a difficulty that blocks progress. For example, fear was my biggest obstacle, or time constraints are common obstacles. This word strengthens motivational narratives. Practice. Articulation. Pronunciation was an obstacle for me. Or, financial obstacles delayed his plans. Realistic vocabulary enhances authenticity. Let's introduce the word overcome, reinforcing prior learning within challenge context. For example, she overcame her hesitation. Or, we overcame communication barriers. Victory vocabulary strengthens empowerment speech. Practice motivational fluency. I overcame my fear of speaking. Or, he overcame cultural differences. Emotional resilience vocabulary resonates strongly. Now let's move into perseverance vocabulary with the word determined. Determined describes strong commitment. For example, she remained determined. Or, I'm determined to achieve fluency. This word reflects mental strength. Practice reflective articulation. I stayed determined despite slow progress. Or, determined learners succeed. Persistence. Vocabulary motivates narratives. Let's expand with the word commitment. Commitment refers to dedication to a goal. For example, language learning requires commitment. Or, her commitment inspired others. This word strengthens motivational speech. Practice fluency. My commitment to daily study improved results. Or, success reflects long-term commitment. Notice emotional weight. Now integrate perseverance vocabulary into a narrative. You might say, fear was my biggest obstacle, but I remained determined. My commitment never weakened, and eventually, I overcame my hesitation. This reflects resilient storytelling. Take a pause. Repeat key words aloud. Obstacle, overcome, determined, commitment. Let repetition anchor retention. Now let's expand toward opportunity development vocabulary with the word advance. Advance means to move forward. For example, I advanced my career through language skills, or technology advanced rapidly. This word signals upward movement. Practice articulation. I want to advance my communication skills. Or, she advanced professionally. Growth vocabulary strengthens future narratives. Let's introduce the word expand. Expand means to increase in size or scope. For example, I expanded my vocabulary. Or, the company expanded globally. This word supports development speech. Practice growth articulation. Reading expands knowledge. Or, travel expands perspective. Notice conceptual application. Now let's add the word enhance. Enhance means to improve quality. For example, practice enhances fluency. Or, feedback enhances performance. This word elevates professional tone. Practice applied fluency. I enhanced my listening skills. Or, technology enhances productivity. Vocabulary refinement strengthens articulation. Let's integrate opportunity vocabulary into one cohesive reflection narrative. You might say, learning English helped me advance professionally. I expanded my vocabulary daily and enhanced my communication skills through consistent practice. This reflects developmental fluency maturity. Take a breath. Repeat key words slowly. Advance, expand, enhance, evolve, transform. Let the progression settle deeply. Now, let's move toward future planning vocabulary with the word aspire. Aspire means to strongly hope to achieve something. For example, I aspire to speak fluently, or she aspires to lead a company. This word adds inspirational tone. Practice aspirational articulation. I aspire to work internationally, or students aspire to success. Ambition vocabulary enriches speech. Let's introduce the word potential. Potential refers to future ability. For example, you have great potential, or technology has limitless potential. This word supports motivational dialogue. Practice reflective fluency. I'm working to reach my potential, or he recognized her potential. Encouragement vocabulary strengthens narratives. Now integrate aspirational vocabulary into a final reflection narrative for this practice session. You might say, when I began, I doubted my potential, but I stayed determined. I overcame obstacles, expanded my vocabulary, and gradually advanced my fluency. Today, I aspire to inspire others through my journey. This reflects advanced emotional storytelling fluency. Take a final breath in this stage. Repeat keywords slowly. Aspire, potential, expand, enhance, transform, overcome. Let each word settle naturally. As we continue forward, your vocabulary is no longer just descriptive or analytical. It is becoming visionary, allowing you to narrate growth, ambition, and transformation with clarity and emotional depth. As your vocabulary continues to grow stronger and more refined, you begin to express ideas not only about yourself, but about society, relationships, workplace culture, and the world around you. This is a defining stage of B2 fluency, where language becomes a tool for observation, interpretation, and meaningful discussion. You start describing patterns, behaviors, and social realities with confidence and precision. Let's begin this stage with the word society. Society refers to people living together within a community. For example, language plays an important role in society. Or, technology influences modern society. This word is essential when discussing global or cultural topics. Practice contextual articulation. English connects people across society. Or, education shapes society positively. Notice how the word allows broader discussion beyond personal life. Now let's expand social vocabulary with the word community. Community refers to a group of people connected by location, interest, or identity. For example, language learners form supportive communities, or our local community organizes events. This word builds social warmth. Practice relational fluency. I'm part of an online learning community. Or, communities grow through collaboration. Social vocabulary enriches conversational depth. Let's introduce the word culture. Culture refers to traditions, values, and social behaviors. For example, language reflects culture, or travel exposes you to new cultures. This word is central in intercultural communication. Practice experiential articulation. Learning English helped me understand global culture. Or, workplace culture influences productivity. Cultural vocabulary broadens. Worldview discussions. Now let's move into behavioral social vocabulary with the word interaction. Interaction refers to communication between people. For example, daily interaction improves fluency. Or, positive interaction builds trust. This word strengthens social communication discussions. Practice applied fluency. I value meaningful interaction. Or, workplace interaction requires professionalism. Vocabulary layering connects earlier learning. Let's expand relational vocabulary with the word relationship. Relationship refers to the connection between people. For example, strong communication builds relationships. Or, professional relationships require trust. This word deepens interpersonal dialogue. Practice articulation. Language strengthens international relationships. Or, positive relationships improve teamwork. Emotional social vocabulary enhances fluency. Now, let's introduce the word trust. Trust refers to belief in someone's reliability. For example, trust develops over time. Or, trust is essential in leadership. This word is foundational in relational communication. Practice emotional fluency. Trust improves collaboration. Or, lack of trust creates conflict. Relational vocabulary deepens conversational realism. Let's integrate social vocabulary into one cohesive narrative for retention. You might say, language connects society. It builds communities, encourages cultural exchange, and strengthens relationships. Through meaningful interaction, trust develops naturally. This reflects socially aware fluency. Take a breath. Repeat key words aloud. Society, community, culture, interaction, relationship, trust. Let repetition stabilize pronunciation. Now let's expand toward workplace culture vocabulary with the word environment, revisited in social professional context. For example, a supportive work environment increases productivity. Or, positive environments encourage collaboration. Layered vocabulary strengthens retention. Practice situational articulation. I thrive in collaborative environments. Or, healthy environments improve communication. Contextual repetition deepens fluency. Let's introduce the word diversity. Diversity refers to variety in people or ideas. For example, workplace diversity drives innovation. Or, cultural diversity enriches learning. This word is widely used in global discussions. Practice inclusive fluency. I value diversity in teams. Or, diversity expands perspectives. Global vocabulary elevates speech sophistication. Now, let's expand toward social responsibility vocabulary with the word contribute, revisited in societal context. For example, education contributes to social development. Or, volunteers contribute to community growth. Contextual reuse strengthens mastery. Practice civic articulation. I want to contribute positively to society. Or, we contribute through collective effort. Social engagement vocabulary builds maturity. Let's introduce the word responsibility. Responsibility refers to duty or obligation. For example, citizens have social responsibilities. Or, leaders carry great responsibility. This word strengthens ethical discussions. Practice reflective articulation. We share responsibility for environmental care. Or, Communication responsibility improves teamwork. Ethical vocabulary deepens discourse. Now let's integrate societal vocabulary into a reflection narrative. You might say, every individual has responsibility towards society. Through collaboration and contribution, communities grow stronger. Diversity enhances cultural understanding, and trust builds lasting relationships. This reflects socially conscious fluency. Take a pause. Repeat key words aloud. Diversity, responsibility, contribute, society, trust. Let repetition anchor memory. Now let's expand toward global communication vocabulary with the word global. Global refers to worldwide scale. For example, English is a global language, or businesses operate globally. This word supports international dialogue. Practice articulation. Global communication requires cultural awareness, or technology connects global communities. Global vocabulary broadens conversational scope. Let's introduce the word opportunity, revisited within international context. For example, English creates global opportunities, or travel offers learning opportunities. Contextual layering strengthens fluency. Practice aspirational articulation. Language skills open global opportunities. Or, global exposure expands perspective. Vocabulary integration builds coherence. Now let's expand toward development vocabulary with the word growth. Growth refers to development or progress. For example, personal growth requires effort, or economic growth affects society. This word supports analytical discussions. Practice reflective articulation. Language learning supports personal growth. Or, professional growth depends on skills. Development vocabulary enriches discourse. Let's introduce the word awareness. Awareness refers to knowledge or understanding. For example, cultural awareness improves communication. Or, health awareness is increasing. This word supports social reflection. Practice articulation. Language builds global awareness. Or, awareness improves decision-making. Cognitive vocabulary deepens speech. Now let's integrate global social vocabulary into one cohesive narrative. You might say, English is a global bridge. It creates opportunities for growth, builds cultural awareness, and strengthens international relationships. Through communication, societies become more connected. This reflects globally aware fluency. Take a breath. Repeat key words slowly: global, opportunity, growth, awareness, diversity, community. Let the chain settle deeply. Now let's move toward influence vocabulary with the word impact, revisited within societal context. For example, technology has a major impact on society. Or, education impacts future generations. Contextual reuse reinforces retention. Practice articulation. Language has a powerful social impact. Or, globalization impacts culture. Analytical vocabulary strengthens discourse. Let's introduce the word change, expanded beyond. Simple meaning. For example, social change takes time. Or, language drives cultural change. Layer vocabulary for narrative strength. Practice reflective fluency. Education creates positive change. Or, communication reduces social barriers. Notice conceptual depth. Now let's continue with an integrated societal reflection narrative. You might say, language drives social change. It impacts communities, expands global opportunities, and builds cultural awareness. Through communication, individuals contribute to collective growth. This reflects advanced societal fluency. Take a final breath in this stage. Repeat key words slowly: society, diversity, global, growth, impact, awareness. Let each word settle naturally. As we continue forward, your vocabulary is no longer limited to personal storytelling. It now allows you to discuss society, culture, and global realities with clarity, maturity, and confidence. This is the expanding horizon of B2 level English fluency. As your vocabulary continues to expand into more advanced and expressive territory, you begin to notice that your English allows you to describe not only external realities, but also internal mental processes, thoughts, reflections, decision-making patterns, and emotional reasoning. This stage of vocabulary development is extremely important because it allows you to explain why you think the way you think, not just what you think. Let's begin this stage with the word reflect. Reflect means to think carefully about something, especially past experiences. For example, I reflected on my progress last year, or she reflected on her career choices. This word is essential in personal growth conversations. Practice reflective articulation. I reflect on my mistakes to improve. Or, regular reflection strengthens learning. Notice how the word connects awareness and development. Now let's expand introspective vocabulary with the word realization, revisited in deeper emotional context. For example, I had the realization that confidence comes from practice. Or, his realization changed his mindset. This word elevates reflective storytelling. Practice articulation. It was a realization that consistency matters. Or, her realization motivated her to improve. Emotional insight vocabulary deepens fluency. Let's introduce the word mindset. Mindset refers to a way of thinking. For example, a positive mindset accelerates learning. Or, growth mindset improves resilience. This word is extremely common in self-development discussions. Practice motivational fluency. I changed my mindset toward challenges. Or, mindset influences performance. Psychological vocabulary enriches communication. Now let's expand decision-making vocabulary with the word decision, revisited at deeper analytical level. For example, I made a life-changing decision. Or, good decisions require evaluation. Layering vocabulary strengthens fluency. Practice articulation. I decided to focus on fluency. Or, she made strategic career decisions. Notice planning depth. Let's introduce the word consideration. Consideration refers to careful thought before action. For example, after careful consideration, I accepted the offer. Or, financial considerations influence the decision. This word adds formality. Practice reflective fluency. I made the choice after serious consideration. Or, time consideration is essential. Analytical vocabulary strengthens authority. Now let's move into reasoning vocabulary with the word reason. For example, the main reason for my progress was consistency. Or, he explained the reason clearly. This word structures logical explanation. Practice articulation. There are many reasons to learn English. Or, she shared her reasons confidently. Logical fluency strengthens persuasion. Let's expand toward analytical thinking vocabulary with the word analyze, revisited in cognitive context. For example, I analyze my speaking recordings. Or, we analyzed the results. Vocabulary repetition in new domains strengthens mastery. Practice reflective articulation. Analyzing mistakes improves fluency. Or, he analyzes communication patterns. Intellectual vocabulary deepens discourse. Now, let's integrate cognitive vocabulary into a cohesive reflection narrative. You might say, I reflected deeply on my learning journey. I had the realization that mindset shapes progress. After careful consideration, I made the decision to practice daily. The main reason for my improvement was consistency. This reflects cognitive fluency development. Take a breath. Repeat key words aloud. Reflect, realization, mindset, consideration, decision, analyze, reason. Let repetition stabilize recall. Now let's expand toward emotional regulation vocabulary with the word control. Control refers to managing emotions or situations. For example, I learned to control my nervousness. Or, she controlled her reactions professionally. Emotional discipline vocabulary strengthens fluency. Practice articulation. Breathing helps control anxiety. Or, he maintained control under pressure. Notice emotional strength embedded in the word. Let's introduce the word respond. Respond means to reply or react. For example, she responded calmly. Or, I respond confidently now. This word is essential in conversational management. Practice articulation. I respond more fluently in discussions. Or, he responded thoughtfully. Response vocabulary builds interaction confidence. Now let's add the word react. React refers to emotional or behavioral response. For example, I reacted nervously, or she reacted positively. Emotional authenticity vocabulary enhances storytelling. Practice articulation. I used to react emotionally, or he reacted professionally. Tone variation strengthens expression. Let's introduce emotional balance vocabulary with the word calm. For example, I remained calm during the presentation. Or, calm communication builds trust. Emotional regulation vocabulary deepens maturity. Practice articulation. Staying calm improves fluency. Or, she spoke in a calm tone. Notice psychological grounding. Now integrate emotional regulation vocabulary into one narrative. You might say, I learned to control my nervousness. I respond more confidently now. I don't react emotionally. I remain calm even in challenging conversations. This reflects emotional fluency maturity. Take a pause. Repeat key words aloud. Control. Respond. React. Calm. Mindset. Let repetition anchor emotional vocabulary. Now, let's expand toward problem resolution vocabulary with the word handle. Handle means to manage a situation. For example, she handled the conflict professionally. Or, I handle presentations better now. This word strengthens workplace fluency. Practice articulation. I handle pressure confidently. Or, he handled criticism calmly. Professional maturity vocabulary deepens communication. Let's introduce the word manage. For example, I manage my time efficiently. Or, she manages stress well. This word supports performance speech. Practice articulation. Managing emotions improves communication. Or, he manages responsibilities effectively. Vocabulary layering strengthens fluency. Now let's add the word balance, revisited in emotional context. For example, I balance work and study. Or, she balances logic and emotion. Emotional equilibrium vocabulary enriches expression, practice articulation. Balancing priorities reduces stress. Or, he maintains balance under pressure. Psychological fluency deepens storytelling. Now, integrate problem-handling vocabulary into one reflection narrative. You might say, I learned to handle pressure calmly, I manage my time efficiently, and maintain emotional balance during conversations. This reflects composure fluency. Take a breath. Repeat keywords slowly. Handle, manage, balance, calm, respond. Let the chain settle naturally. Now, let's expand toward intellectual discussion vocabulary with the word concept. Concept refers to an idea or theory. For example, fluency is a complex concept, or he explained the concept clearly. This word supports academic discussion, practice articulation. I understand the concept better now. Or, language concepts require practice. Intellectual vocabulary enhances discourse. Let's introduce the word perspective. Revisited within intellectual debate. For example, different perspectives enrich discussions. Or, I respect your perspective. Contextual repetition strengthens mastery. Practice articulation. My perspective evolved. Or, perspective shapes interpretation. Analytical vocabulary deepens fluency. Now let's continue with an integrated cognitive emotional reflection narrative. You might say, through reflection, my mindset evolved. I learned to handle pressure calmly, manage emotions, and respond thoughtfully. My perspective expanded, and I developed confidence expressing complex concepts. This reflects advanced introspective fluency. Take a final breath in this stage. Repeat keywords slowly. Reflect, mindset, handle, manage, perspective, respond. Let each word settle deeply. As we continue forward, your vocabulary now empowers you to describe not only the world around you, but also the world within you, your thoughts, reactions, and inner growth. This is the depth that transforms communication into meaningful expression. As your vocabulary continues to deepen and mature, you begin to reach a stage where your English allows you to explain abstract ideas, long-term visions, professional ambitions, and life philosophies. This is where B2 vocabulary starts bridging into advanced fluency, because now you are not only describing experiences, you are interpreting meaning, defining purpose, and articulating direction. Let's begin this stage with the word goal. A goal refers to something you aim to achieve. For example, my goal is to speak English fluently. Or, she set long-term career goals. This word is fundamental in motivational and planning discussions. Practice articulation. I set realistic learning goals. Or, clear goals improve focus. Notice how the word integrates with earlier vocabulary like realistic and focus. Now let's expand with the word objective. Objective is similar to goal, but more formal and structured. For example, our objective is to improve communication, or the training objective is fluency development. This word is common in professional and academic contexts. Practice formal articulation. My main objective is vocabulary expansion, or we defined measurable objectives. Professional vocabulary elevates speech tone. Let's introduce the word vision. Vision refers to a long-term aspiration or mental image of the future. For example, she has a clear vision for her career. Or, My vision is to work internationally. This word adds inspirational depth. Practice aspirational articulation. My vision motivates daily practice. Or, leaders communicate vision clearly. Vision vocabulary strengthens leadership expression. Now let's expand toward planning vocabulary with the word plan. Revisited with advanced layering. For example, I developed a strategic plan. Or, planning ensures progress. Layering adds sophistication. Practice articulation. My plan includes daily speaking practice. Or, long-term planning supports growth. Notice structural fluency. Let's introduce the word priority. Priority refers to what is most important. For example, fluency is my top priority. Or, health should be a priority. This word reflects decision hierarchy, practice, reflective articulation. I made vocabulary learning a priority. Or, time management requires prioritization. Decision vocabulary strengthens maturity. Now let's move into time development vocabulary with the word long-term. For example, fluency is a long-term process. Or, long-term investment brings results. This word supports planning discourse. Practice articulation. I focus on long-term improvement. Or, long-term consistency builds mastery. Temporal vocabulary enhances realism. Let's introduce the word short-term. Contrasting expression. For example, short-term results can be motivating. Or, short-term goals build discipline. Contrast vocabulary improves narrative balance. Practice articulation. I track short-term progress weekly. Or, short-term practice leads to long-term fluency. Layered contrast strengthens fluency. Now let's integrate planning vocabulary into a cohesive reflection narrative. You might say, my long-term vision is fluency. I set realistic goals, defined clear objectives, and made practice a daily priority. I balanced short-term progress with long-term commitment. This reflects structured developmental fluency. Take a breath. Repeat key words aloud. Goal, objective, vision, priority, long-term, short-term. Let repetition reinforce recall. Now let's expand toward achievement vocabulary with the word accomplish. Accomplish means to successfully complete something. For example, she accomplished her learning targets. Or, I accomplished my study goals. This word strengthens success narratives. Practice articulation. I accomplished fluency milestones. Or, persistence helps accomplish dreams. Achievement vocabulary empowers speech. Let's introduce the word fulfill. Fulfill refers to achieving something meaningful. For example, he fulfilled his ambitions. Or, learning English fulfilled my career aspirations. This word adds emotional depth. Practice articulation. Fluency fulfilled my confidence. Or, she fulfilled her professional goals. Emotional achievement vocabulary enriches storytelling. Now let's expand toward recognition vocabulary with the word acknowledge. Acknowledge means to recognize or accept something. For example, she acknowledged my effort. Or, I acknowledged my weaknesses. This word supports reflective maturity. Practice articulation. I acknowledge my progress. Or, managers acknowledge employee contributions. Recognition vocabulary strengthens professionalism. Let's introduce the word appreciation. Appreciation refers to gratitude or recognition. For example, I felt appreciation for my mentors. Or, Employee appreciation improves morale. This word builds emotional connection. Practice articulation. I express appreciation for support. Or, recognition builds appreciation. Gratitude vocabulary deepens relationships. Now let's integrate achievement vocabulary into one cohesive narrative. You might say, through consistent effort, I accomplished my fluency milestones. I fulfilled my personal goals, and I acknowledge the support that made it possible. I feel deep appreciation for this journey. This reflects emotionally grounded fluency. Take a pause. Repeat keywords aloud. Accomplish, fulfill, acknowledge, appreciation. Let repetition anchor memory. Now let's expand toward influence leadership vocabulary with the word lead. Lead means to guide others. For example, she leads the team effectively. Or, language skills help you lead globally. This word reflects authority. Practice articulation. I aspire to lead confidently. Or, leaders communicate vision clearly. Leadership vocabulary strengthens presence. Let's introduce the word guide. Guide refers to helping others navigate. For example, mentors guide learners, or teachers guide development. This word adds supportive leadership tone. Practice articulation. I want to guide others in learning. Or, guidance accelerates progress. Mentorship vocabulary enriches communication. Now let's add the word mentor. Mentor refers to an experienced advisor. For example, he mentored junior employees, or a mentor shaped my journey. This word supports professional growth narratives. Practice articulation. I learned from my mentors. Or, mentorship accelerates development. Professional relational vocabulary deepens discourse. Now integrate leadership vocabulary into one narrative. You might say, my mentors guided me through challenges. Their leadership inspired growth. And one day, I aspire to mentor others and lead confidently. This reflects visionary fluency. Take a final breath in this stage. Repeat key words slowly: goal, vision, accomplish, fulfill, mentor, lead. Let each word settle deeply. As we continue toward the final stage of this masterclass, your vocabulary now empowers you to speak about purpose, ambition, leadership, and life direction with clarity and emotional resonance. This is the transformation from functional fluency to expressive mastery. As we now move into the closing stage of this masterclass, take a moment to recognize how far your vocabulary awareness has expanded. At the beginning, we focused on strengthening everyday expression, describing emotions, experiences, and daily situations. Gradually, your vocabulary evolved into analytical language, professional communication, social discussion, emotional reflection, and visionary thinking. This progression reflects exactly what happens when a learner moves confidently through the B2 level. At this stage, vocabulary is no longer just a collection of words. It becomes a toolkit for thinking, for expressing, for connecting. The more words you master, the more precisely you can communicate your ideas, and the more confidently you can participate in conversations that once felt intimidating. Let's begin this final reflection with the word journey. Journey refers to a process of development over time. Not just physical travel, but personal growth. For example, learning English has been a meaningful journey. Or, everyone's fluency journey is unique. This word beautifully captures long-term progress. Practice reflective articulation. My vocabulary journey required patience. Or, I'm proud of my learning journey. Emotional storytelling vocabulary strengthens connection. Let's introduce the word milestone. Milestone refers to an important stage of achievement. For example, my first fluent conversation was a milestone. Or, completing this level is a milestone. This word highlights progress recognition, practice articulation. Passing the exam was a milestone. Or, speaking confidently felt like a milestone. Achievement vocabulary builds motivation. Let's expand with the word confidence, revisited at a deeper emotional level. For example, confidence transformed my communication. Or, vocabulary builds confidence. This word is central to fluency identity. Practice articulation. My confidence grew gradually. Or, preparation strengthens confidence. Emotional reinforcement strengthens memory. Now let's introduce the word fluency. Fluency refers to smooth, natural communication. For example, fluency comes from practice. Or, vocabulary supports fluency. This word defines the entire learning objective. Practice articulation. I'm working toward natural fluency. Or, fluency requires patience and persistence. Identity vocabulary deepens purpose. Let's integrate reflection vocabulary into one cohesive narrative. You might say, my English journey has been transformational. Each milestone built confidence, and gradually, fluency became achievable. This reflects mature reflective fluency. Take a breath. Repeat key words aloud. Journey, milestone, confidence, fluency. Let repetition anchor emotional connection. Now let's expand towards sustaining progress vocabulary with the word consistency. Consistency refers to regular, repeated effort. For example, consistency is essential for fluency. Or, daily practice builds consistency. This word reinforces discipline. Practice articulation. I maintain consistency in learning. Or, consistency leads to long-term success. Notice integration with earlier vocabulary. Let's introduce the word discipline. Discipline refers to controlled, focused effort. For example, language learning requires discipline. Or, discipline strengthens habits. This word reflects mental strength. Practice articulation. Discipline helped me improve. Or, successful learners show discipline. Psychological vocabulary deepens resilience narratives. Now, let's expand toward encouragement vocabulary with the word persist. Persist means to continue despite difficulty. For example, I persisted through challenges. Or, persistent learners succeed. Reinforcing earlier persistence vocabulary strengthens retention. Practice articulation. I persist even when progress feels slow. Or, persistence builds mastery. Motivational vocabulary strengthens resolve. Let's integrate sustaining progress vocabulary into one narrative. You might say, consistency and discipline shaped my learning journey. I persisted even when progress felt slow, and eventually, fluency became natural. This reflects growth maturity. Take a pause. Repeat key words aloud. Consistency, discipline, persist, fluency. Let repetition stabilize recall. Now let's move into inspirational closing vocabulary with the word empower. Empower means to give confidence or strength. For example, language empowers individuals. Or, fluency empowers opportunity. This word reflects transformation. Practice articulation. English empowers global communication. Or, vocabulary empowers expression. Notice emotional power. Let's introduce the word connect. Connect refers to forming meaningful communication. For example, language connects cultures. Or, fluency connects people. This word reinforces communication purpose. Practice articulation. English helps me connect globally. Or, connection builds understanding. Relational vocabulary strengthens emotional resonance. Now let's add the word inspire. Revisited in final motivational context. For example, your journey may inspire others. Or, fluency inspires confidence. Inspirational vocabulary strengthens closing tone. Practice articulation. I hope to inspire future learners. Or, success stories inspire persistence. Emotional storytelling deepens impact. Now let's integrate empowerment vocabulary into one final reflection narrative. You might say, learning English empowered my voice. It allowed me to connect with people globally, and I hope my journey inspires others to believe in their potential. This reflects visionary fluency. Take a breath. Repeat key words slowly. Empower, connect, inspire, journey, fluency. Let each word settle deeply. And now, as we reach the closing reflection of this masterclass, take a moment to acknowledge what you've built. You have strengthened expressive vocabulary, analytical vocabulary, emotional vocabulary, professional vocabulary, and visionary vocabulary. This layered growth is what defines B2 mastery. Remember, vocabulary is not memorized overnight. It is lived, practiced, repeated, and applied. Every conversation you have, every sentence you speak, every thought you express becomes an opportunity to reinforce what you've learned. Fluency is not perfection. It is progress. It is the confidence to speak even when unsure, the courage to try new words, and the patience to keep improving. With consistency, discipline, and belief in your journey, your vocabulary will continue expanding beyond limits. So keep practicing, keep speaking, keep reflecting, and most importantly, keep believing in your ability to grow. Thank you for being part of this learning journey with me. Keep learning, keep evolving, and I'll see you in the next lesson.